Hi friends, and welcome back to the Sanctuary Garden. I am Alexis, the Sanctuary Gardener, and I'm so happy to have you here. It's been a while since our last chat, and this was not the video I ever intended on posting, at least not anytime soon. On the early morning of September 10th, 2024, the world lost a beautiful woman, my mother, Julia Irene Kleinschmidt Case. For about 3 weeks, she had been battling a really bad case of pneumonia. It took about a week and a half of those 3 weeks for them to even know it was pneumonia. At first, it just seemed like, a little bit of dizziness. She seemed a little off. We thought maybe a stroke or a small heart attack, but she was okay. Once we finally figured out it was pneumonia, we were kind of relieved. Also thought it was a little weird because some of the symptoms she was having didn't quite match pneumonia, but you just never know, and you trust the things that you hear. She was put on medication, but every day she didn't really seem to get better. And some days it felt a little better, and some days it didn't. But then when the doctors learned that she wasn't really getting better, they put her on a stronger medication, which started giving her pains all over her body, her groin, her back, her side. And so another doctor told her to get off of them. And that helped with the pain, and that subsided. So we still kind of thought it was just really bad pneumonia. I really don't really know what we thought. Definitely none of us thought she was in the process of dying. But looking back, that's exactly what it was. They did find something in her lung, but it was under the pneumonia. The doctor had suspicions it could be something serious, but he didn't use the word cancer and said, we'll see you in 6 weeks. And then once the pneumonia clears up, we'll figure out what we're working with. So we kind of took that at face value. But again, every day, without really recognizing it, but also recognizing it more towards the end of that 3 weeks, that she really wasn't getting better and was able to move less and less, and the pain, and not really wanting to eat anymore and things like that. By the end of the 3 weeks, she was unable to breathe so much that my dad called an ambulance and took her to the emergency room again. They admitted her right away this time, took way more tests than they did the first time 3 weeks prior, did some ultrasounds on where she was having pain, and found that there were at least 2 tumors on her liver. At this point, by the time we found this out, it was at like 8:30, September 9th at night. My dad texted my sister and I and said that they had found this. The doctor said, we will talk to you in the morning and we will figure out a game plan about what we're gonna do or about what we found. We knew there was something in her lungs. We knew she couldn't breathe because the pneumonia was getting so bad, and they just found some tumors on her liver. Knowing that she was admitted to the cardiac ICU, we should have assumed it was much worse than it was, or much worse than any doctor even told us. But of course, finding out about the tumors that night, we thought maybe this could be the end. Because she was at the hospital, she ate a really good dinner. She was finally able to get some sleep and get some relief and was on oxygen. I feel her in the wind. So she's just in the wind chime. She's just saying she's here right now. So is my loyal trusty steed down here. So we at least thought we'd be able to see some doctors the next morning and finally get some answers to what was happening and be able to make a game plan. Thought we had a little more time, and she passed away that morning at 3 a.m. without any of my family, my sister, my dad, or I by her side. And that really hurt me for a while. We still never talked to a doctor. No one ever came in and told us what they found, and that they thought she was terminal, and that, I know in my heart of hearts there's nothing they could have done to save her. So I'm not mad at the staff. I'm not mad at the way things went anymore. And I have a really good relationship with God and spirit and the universe, and I got that from my mother. So I know she's okay. She talks to me all the time. I feel her in the wind. I hear her in music. But that doesn't make the situation any easier or simpler. I do have peace about the way that she passed now, because I know there was nothing they could do to save her. And I'm thinking the final end that morning, she couldn't breathe. And so I don't think we were meant to be by her side to see that. And there was nothing they could do to save her. Even though they tried to revive her, I don't think we were meant to witness that. And I have peace in my heart that she's not mad, and she knows exactly why we weren't there, and that she didn't really feel alone. In 2016, the first death I ever really experienced that wasn't an animal, my grandpa, Reverend Dale Kleinschmidt, my mother's father, passed away. And that was the first time I was really faced with death. But it was my grandfather, so I kind of felt it was the succession of how things were supposed to be. And I was in my early 20s, so I was lucky enough to have him as long as I did. It didn't make the loss any easier for my family, and especially my mom. But he left behind my grandmother, Gwendolyn Irene Kleinschmidt, and I was invited to move into her house with her and become her live-in caregiver. So 2016 to 2021, I lived there, and my mom and me were the best caregivers that my grandmother ever could have had. And of course, my mom's brothers and all of our other family members, their wives, my cousins, we all were very much there for her. But every single day and nighttime and things like that, it was my mom and me. But then she passed away in 2021, and I actually have a video, if you'd like to take a look, talking a little bit about that. It's called Get to Know the Sanctuary Gardener. I think it's in the playlist Coffee Conversations. I can post it below, the link. But I can't believe that I posted that video 2 or 3 years ago now, seeing my grandmother, and about my dreams of wanting to have a homestead where I could move my mom and my dad there with me and take care of them when they were to die. Taking care of my grandmother really taught me that I was a caregiver, that my soul was here for something big. And my job right now is a nanny, so I take care of kids as they enter the world and teach them how to exist in it. And my husband's a caregiver for elderly, so he helps people exit the world and teaches them how to die with grace, or not even teaches, just supports them to die with grace. And so I know that my soul's mission, or whatever it may be, is very wrapped up in life and death and birth and grieving and joy, and how beautiful all of those things could be. So I'm just really learning how to navigate through that and what that means for me right now in this next chapter of life. That being said, I never thought 2 or 3 years later I'd be making a similar video about my mom in a whole different garden, and not the one that I got to take care of her in, you know? But it's okay. I have a lot of grace and gratitude. I'm just still sadness. You can still have sadness. So here I am, a couple years later, making a video about my mom. We celebrated her this past Friday night. Today is Sunday, and gosh, the memorial was beautiful. I wish I took videos or pictures, but you know, didn't seem like the type of celebration you'd do that for, but I wish I did now. But man, we had people at a church that she and my dad renewed their 25th anniversary vows at, and had a wedding renewal there when I was maybe 20. It's right across the street from my parents' home right now. The family went there for the memorial. The service was so beautiful. Her brother spoke, I spoke, my sister spoke, my dad spoke. Gosh, it was full. Probably 200 plus people. It was really, really beautiful, and she would have loved it. You know, she taught me and my sister how to decorate and host and have parties and support people, and it was the best memorial she could have ever had. It was like she did it with her hands, so I know we honored her very, very well. And yeah, and then we had everyone back to their home right across the street for food and celebration, and a lot of tequila shots in her honor, because that was what my mother loved. And man, she was really loved, and we have just been so supported and lifted up and reminded of her memory and all the ways that she touched people in ways that we didn't even know. So gosh, it's just been beautiful. But I guess I just knew I couldn't continue to post garden videos without acknowledging that my life has shifted, and that I am not the same person I was, and I will never be that person again. But I am growing and going into my chrysalis this winter. I'm gonna wrap myself up in a cocoon, and I know my mother will be with me for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna come back stronger in life, and maybe not just here in my garden or my future, but I know this isn't, you know, an end for me. It's a new chapter, a new beginning, a different start, and maybe I wasn't ready for it, or never was gonna be ready for it, or wanted it to be now. I knew I had to come on here and share that with you guys. so that I continue to move on and talk about her and bring her in the garden and just miss her in the garden with you. I know God is good, and that if I ever have a homestead and I get to take care of my dad there or my other grandma who's still living, thank goodness, that my mom will be there. And the breeze that I'm feeling right now and the sound of the wind chimes and the zinnias that I continue to grow that she loved. I know that my mom never wanted me to take care of her like I did her parents in hospice, and I wanted to. I was hoping in 15 or 20 more years, but I wanted to. I think it's an honor to keep someone in your home, to move in with them and do everything you can to bear witness to someone's death. It's an honor, it's a privilege, it's hard work, high stress, but man, that's what our human souls are meant to do. Not send them away and find out they died from a nursing home, you know? It's to look them in the eye while they are dying and say, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of your death, of what it will look like or how ugly it could be. I wish I could have watched her go out of it in my arms, in my eyes. And I didn't those 3 weeks, but I think it's an honor when you can to say, I'm not going to look away. I'm not afraid of death. And I'm going to help you through it so that you're not afraid of it as you go, you know? I know on the other side, my grandpa was greeting her, her mother was greeting her. My mom really felt like the world was different these last 3 years without her mom. And I couldn't really understand it at the time. I was grieving my grandma, not my mom. But now that I'm grieving my mom, I feel her with me in this grief because I know she was here just 3 years ago. She was here until she died, you know? The world is so different without those people in your life, and that's okay. My dad and I are doing a grief group together. It's just short term, but they say that grief never gets smaller. You just grow around it. And I feel like that's true. The hole of missing my mother will never get smaller, but I'll get bigger. I'll get stronger. And I know I will see her and my children, even though she never got to see them or hold them. I know she will before they come here on this earth, and that's all I could do is look forward to new life, new futures, new hopes, and bring her with as I go. I have these 2 pictures I brought. This was my sister, me, and my mom, Mother's Day of this year, seeing Steel Magnolias, the play. And then this is me and my mom on like a ride at Santa's Village when I was a kid, somewhere she took us every year. So I just wanted to share that. And I know that maybe all of my dreams didn't come true in the way that I hoped they would when I made that video a couple years ago. But what I do know is that she is an angel on the other side, and she's not here anymore, but she's a part of the universe. She's back in the stars, and that she will be the angel on the other side making things happen for me for the rest of my life. And I don't know what that is anymore. Maybe my compass, the true north, is off a little bit now. I don't really know what I want anymore, but I know that whatever dream comes or whatever dream I hold on to, she will make it happen. She never really wanted to leave her Victorian home that she built with my father and, you know, decorated and maintained, and she got her wish. She never really wanted to know if she had cancer. She got her wish. She never thought she could go through chemo. She got her wish. She didn't want to quit smoking cigarettes, and she got her wish. I don't think I actually said exactly what happened, but we've gathered information after everything that happened, and we believe that she had lung cancer or liver cancer, but we're guessing it was lung cancer that metastasized and spread to her liver and maybe other places, but the only place they found it was the liver and the lungs. No doctor ever talked to us, so the only way we knew was her birth certificate from the coroner, and it said like metastasized cancer. It didn't even say what type. So, you know, you could not know you have cancer for years and it'll take you in 3 weeks. And man, I've spent a lot of time grieving the naivety that I had about life and death. And yeah, but she really did get to go quick, and she got to go not afraid, and she got to live her life up until, like, you know, those last 3 weeks of kind of like a slow decline of feeling sick. She went to a wedding. She had girls' pool parties this summer. She had one great, amazing summer. Like, it's exactly what her soul would have wanted. And although there was so much pain and grief and regret and wishing that there was just more time, I think that's the only thing my mom would have asked for, was just more time. So cherish the time you have with your family and your loved ones, because death doesn't care how old you are, too young or too old. It doesn't care how healthy you think you are. Like, you know, you can't health your way into a better death. But what I've learned is you can health your way into a better life living here. So I hope that for you, and I hope that for me and everyone that we all love. And when people have to go, may we accept that and be able to move on with grace and acceptance. That's all you can really do, is have acceptance. Thank you guys, those of you who come and watch my videos, who are here for garden videos or learning or whatever, and now you're here for my life and my sadness. But thank you for bearing witness to my grief in this hard time. And yeah, I'd like to read you a poem I wrote in honor of my mother to close this out. But again, thank you if you're still here. The poem is called How Does a Daughter Grieve Her Mother by Alexis Case. How does a daughter grieve her mother? I wish I could tell you I knew how to grieve the womb that once grew you, the very first person that knew you. I wish I could tell you I knew. How does a daughter say goodbye to her mother without yet having a child of her own? No late, what do I do phone calls, no grandma tell-alls. I wish I could tell you I knew. How does a daughter remember her mother when she's got so much life left ahead? Will I see her in the mirror, my hands or my legs, maybe even the gray hairs on my head? How will I remember my mother when time takes her far away from me? Perhaps I'll remember my mother because she's within every part of me. How does a daughter receive wisdom from her mother when there wasn't enough time at the end? Will I hear her voice in a movie, a song, my heart, or a friend? How will I receive wisdom from my mother if she cannot be here holding my hand? Perhaps when I call out to my mother, a cardinal she will always send. And how does the daughter honor her mother? Is it by keeping her stories alive? Through caring for others, dancing and laughing? Will my mother always be by my side? How will I honor my mother when I'm afraid nothing will do? Perhaps a daughter always honors her mother within everything that she will do. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and I hope to see you soon.